Over the last 3 years, I've worked a lot with sport, elite sport, Premiership, Football Association, League Managers Association, academies, development of youth. And within about 15 minutes of being in the room and talking about what we do or what I've been doing for 30 years, they go, that's absolutely on the money, relevant to what we do. And it's not about the military. We use big words like mission, command, scheme of manoeuvre. Yet you use exactly the same words, but in a different language. So what I'm bringing is really 500 years of distilled experience and knowledge that help to hone and create mechanisms for leadership and teams and performance at whatever level that may be, in particular the elite level. And I'm not scared to use the word elite. Elite's a great word. Elite just means that you are doing something slightly different but slightly better than everybody else in the market. And that's elite, in whatever forum that is. So for me, our family home was back door open, front door shut. Obviously Neil at 12 is going out at the back door on the train to Arsenal, and I'm on the front door on the train going to join the army. So our parents really didn't see a lot of us. I joined the army at 16, straight from school. Andrew in his speech very early on mentioned youth as a sponge. Absolutely. I got on that train wanting to be taught, needing to be taught, yearning to receive something that was going to shape me for the rest of my life. I knew what I was going into. I knew the hardships and the brutality at the time, or the perception of brutality that was going to be the army. I prepared for it psychologically, physically. I'd spent 3 years from when I was 13 years old, when the Falklands happened, preparing myself for the rigours of life in the parachute regiment. These people who were to be locked away on an island and only released in the event of war. That's what surrounded, that was the mythology of this elite team of people. How do you get into that at 16 years old? So I'm like a sponge. I wanted that information. Went in, joined the army, and I served for 3 years in the parachute regiment, in 3 para, operational tours around the world. Spent quite a lot of time in Northern Ireland, and then again the sponge kicked in. What do I do now? How do I better myself? How do I develop myself? All right. First page on here. All right. Who we are and what is our vision. I was wanting a vision. I was needing a leader. I was needing someone to draw me in, someone to sell me a product, to create a vision at which I could buy into. Because that's what it is. That's what being a leader is. It's about getting people to do something for you that they may never ordinarily do, and do it willingly. And if you can get that from the team, if they believe into that, buy into that vision, then they will follow you wherever that journey may go. For me, sat behind a bank, flares, mortar bombs, artillery, grenades, all right? A real serious element that you are not going to survive the night. Look left and right, and 20-year-old boys with families staring at me, going, if you go, I'll come with you. That is about vision. It is about getting people to buy into what you are selling with confidence that they stand a better than average chance of coming out the other side in a better position. All right? So it is about that, and that's what leaders are. Someone used to say to me, what is leadership? Well, leadership is about unity. It is about unified action in the pursuit of a common enterprise and getting somebody to do it with you. It is about creating a vision for people to buy into, but then it's about having all of the attributes that are really important to leadership. Integrity, huge word. Second biggest word in the English language after trust. Someone said to me, 2 things that define an elite team, trust and integrity. If you have both of them, everything else will come. People need to trust you. Second page in here, and it was brought out by Mark. What's the picture? Moral compass. Ethics. Ethically, do people believe you? is what you are selling ethical? Does it conform to the rights and wrongs? Do we know as human beings the difference between good and evil, right and wrong? And is that what you are selling? Are people going to say, I'll follow you, but I don't really believe in that. That goes against my inner, page 3, core values. What is it that you are trying to sell and to take those people with you on? Right. So they're going to follow you on that. So leadership is about that, creating those, having those core values and getting people to follow you. May 2000, Sierra Leone, west coast of Africa. Country was descending into utter turmoil and chaos. And if anyone's seen the movie Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio, it's actually quite a good representation of what was happening at the time. Minus the really big diamonds pulling out of your teeth, but everything else that was going on in the country was about right. British passport holders, American, South African, other countries across Europe working in Freetown. The government of Freetown is about to collapse. It is surrounded by rebel organisations. UNAMCIL, United Nations Aid Mission in Sierra Leone, had collapsed. Ineffective organisation, not working. No command and control, no structure, nothing really that people couldn't offer anything that the people would buy into. Weren't making the place any safer and secure, so the people in Africa had no really reason to buy into them. Those passport holders and legitimate people, what we would call entitled personnel, were now trapped in Freetown. The very, very worst of humanity, and I say that with no issue whatsoever. These were the worst of humanity. What the gangs and the rebel organisations had turned into. Death, destruction, mayhem, mutilation on an industrial scale. 70,000 people murdered in 3 months. 1.2 million people displaced, homeless. The country being stripped of its natural resources. Corruption at every level. Phone call Friday afternoon. You need to be on a plane at 10 o'clock tonight. Get as many people as you can, grab as much equipment as you can, and we'll see you in Senegal. 26 of us flew from England. We landed in Senegal, forwarded onto Freetown, and we were told transport aircraft are going to come from the United Kingdom. They're going to fly into the international airport of Freetown. I use international quite loosely. What it really was the tarmac strip cut into the jungle as an international airport. And we're going to round up these passport holders, get them on an aircraft, send them back to Senegal. At that point then they're free to make a decision on where they want to go. Now, when we went into the city to knock on the doors and round them up, they said, oh, well, that's great. We feel really good that you're here, but now you're here, why do we have to leave? So we'll stay. Can't physically, forcibly remove people against their will. So we're now left in a really big conundrum. These rebel organisations are closing in on the city to burn it to the ground. They don't want to leave. So they said, right, the next thing we need to do is stop those people, rebel organisations, from getting here while we talk them into leaving. How are we going to do it? Right, Steve. There's 2 helicopters over there. Grab as much ammunition as you can pick up. Take 48 hours worth of food and water and get on the aircraft and go and stop them. We talk about vision, we talk about an ethos, we talk about values, we talk about a leader's role, we talk about teams gelling together. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Hot, sweaty, humid jungle, mosquitoes, 90% humidity. I've now got to tell 25 soldiers that they're going to get on an aircraft and there's a very, very strong possibility that they're not going to come home. And I don't exaggerate, I don't have no reason to. We were told that when we got off those helicopters, we were going to be fighting. 25 and me, 2,000 rebels, 2,000 soldiers coming through the jungle. How do you sell that? Okay? Intrinsically, how do I sell it? How do I motivate someone? Can't give you any financial reward. Nothing I can do for you. Can't give you a bigger house. Can't do anything for you. I can't physically change your life at all. But what I can do is, if you follow me, I'll make you the best person that you can be. I will empower you with so many skills and such knowledge and experience that you will be the very, very best at what you do. You will live a life constantly on the edge. But at the end of all of that, you will own the badge. You'll be able to walk in a room and everyone will want to be you. So if you follow me, I'll do that for you. So they came. 2 days, they said we'd be in there. 16 days later, no food, no water that we could scrounge from the local villages. We ended up in a firefight in the darkness of the night. 2,000 soldiers came out of the jungle. And we knew what was going to happen to us if they'd have been caught. Over the 16 days, we'd made the decision to stay with the villagers. We could have left. Nobody would have held it against us if we'd have said, mission's untenable, sir. It's untenable. I'm an intelligent person, articulate. I'm a decision maker. I've looked at the odds stacked against me. What would have happened in the press if suddenly 26 British soldiers had been slaughtered? We've all seen the film Black Hawk Down. 1993, Mogadishu, exactly the same thing happened to the very best soldiers that America had to offer. So, we stayed with the villagers. And we made a pact there and then in the night time. I grabbed everybody in. And you talk about the mechanics of teamwork, contribution, feeling of worth. Regardless of my rank, position in the team, I've got a voice. I've got to be heard. I deliver my opinion. That opinion is acted upon, it's taken, or it's disregarded. That's the job of the leader at the end of the day. But to hear a voice from everybody else in the room is the important part in all of this. People need to feel valued. They need to understand that their contribution to whatever you are offering is valued. Otherwise, the team will fall away very, very quickly. So we said to them, what do you want to do? And they said, we'll stay. What are you doing? I said, I'm going to stay. So we said, if we run out of ammunition, very likely we'll end up in hand-to-hand fighting. And we said to each other, if it all goes wrong at a point, then we'll link up somewhere else. Okay? And they came one night. Luckily for us, and it goes back to the next bit in here, is that something Queensman said, is that surround yourself with like-minded and capable people. Pick your team. Pick people who have got skill sets that you don't necessarily have, that you can take from, to strengthen your position as a leader, to make sure that the team is functioning, regardless of rank, position, seniority. So, within all of that, their voices were heard. And we stayed. And we fought all night. And the next morning, when it was all over, the deal had been, Steve, when you go in, there's the radio. If anything happens, get on the phone, on the radio, and we'll send the quick reaction force. 2 helicopters full of 60 paratroopers, heavily armed, to bring the fight to the enemy. So when the fighting started, we called for it. And they came the next morning, and the helicopters were empty. And they said, it's just the way it is. We've got no spare bodies. You're on your own. And they flew away. I was slightly disappointed. Only because they didn't bring any ammunition. I'm disappointed that they didn't come, because we live in a world where things change and evolve and things happen, and we can't always counter for things. And I used to say things that come in from left field, flank interferers, things that you can't anticipate for, that you can't plan for, that you can't create a contingency for. Thinking on your feet.